All right, we'll start with questions for Jacob. Parrish.
Jacob, obviously you're hitting well right now, playing well. How are you seeing the ball at the plate, and what do you think has just kind of helped you reach this momentum?
I've been seeing the ball all right. I think what helped me so far is just playing consistently, playing all the time. I've never played baseball this much in my life before, so I think just getting the play like that bats is really helping me.
Is there a fatigue factor when you're playing this many games for the first time?
No, I feel really good actually. There hasn't been a time where I'm like, whoa, this is a lot. So yeah.
You guys have absorbed a lot of injuries this season. How do you think this team responds to losing such an important part of the rotation as Gunnar?
I think we all feel really bad for Gunnar, and we really hope for a speedy recovery. But I think the mindset in this locker room is that we're going to win anyways. No matter who's pitching, we're going to win ball games.
Thank you.
Chris.
Jacob, if we could go back to Saturday for just a second, can you talk about the 13 pitch at bat that you had?
Yeah, I don't know why it was so many pitches. Honestly, I kept missing them, and some of them were battle swings, as in just I'm going to foul tip this and wait for the next pitch. But some of them I was kind of disappointed in myself for not hitting fair. But I mean, I got out, so I mean it doesn't really matter.
You chased the pitcher, though, a little bit out of the game. Have you ever had an at-bat that long previously?
I'm sure I have. I don't remember, though.
Thank you.
Adam.
Jacob, could you just talk a little bit about the home run that you hit tonight?
I mean, just saw a good pitch to swing at, and I happened to go over the fence. I don't know what else to say.
Appreciate it, man.
Any more questions for Jacob?
All right, thank you.
We got Coach up next. Questions for Coach? Parrish.
Mike, where'd you watch the game from?
From the coach's locker room, kind of in the bowels of the stadium. So a little different, obviously, done this for a while, and I've never, besides the, maybe getting thrown out a couple times and watching, the remainder of the game, but a little different perspective, come, to the field today and not have your uniform hung up in your locker. That's never happened. And so, but knew that the game at all times was in great hands, and, both Clem and Laugh are terrific and aces, and, knew that they'd do a wonderful job.
Yeah, you're back Friday, right?
I am.
Chase.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, obviously we haven't talked to him. Just how's Gunnar holding up emotionally? I mean, how would you kind of characterize what this has been like for him at this point?
I don't know. It's hard to put into words. I think, devastating is probably a good word. Finding out, immediately, when you get the information. But I think he's handled it as well as anybody can. And, I think, we don't realize sometimes, we just look, which I think is very human to the draft and, to the, him as a prospect in his career and him in general. But, I think there's a giant part of him, that, is missing this, and missing being part of this team and a part of this, postseason. And, he's worked, so hard to get to this point. So I'm sure just a ton of emotions running through, his, body. But he's been terrific. And, with each day, you start to get closer to turning that page, and certainly when he gets out of that, that operating room, it's, you put the blinders on and you focus and you start the grind back of the rehab that's very monotonous, very long, but highly successful, and I'm sure, he'll be looking forward to those days.
I meant to ask you on Friday, and I mean, obviously the damage didn't happen in the game, but with the form potentially being a UCL indicator, how close were you to scratching him after he felt that in the bullpen?
I don't know that answer. How about that? He warmed up. I didn't hear anything, on Fridays. I have to walk down and turn in the lineup. So I missed the last, probably 6 minutes, 5 minutes of the warm up. Came down, laughed, told me that, a few pitches he felt some tightness in his forearm. Went back, and the way A&M's dugout has like a little back area where the restroom is, where there's kind of a training table, and he was sitting on there. And Josh Porter, our trainer, and I both went up to him and said, what's the deal? And he said, he said, maybe of the 30 plus pitches, maybe 3 or so, I felt some tightness. Any pain? No pain. Okay, what do you want to do? And we can scratch you right now and get Diamond ready. And he said, no, I feel good. I don't have any pain. I want to go out there. And then we made a plan that if at any point he didn't think he could continue, or that he hurt, that he would just look in and give me a certain signal that I would just immediately walk out there. And he never got that. And it's just one of those things that I don't know what you're getting at, Chase, but it's one of those things that it's not black and white. I don't think it's cut and dry. I don't think anybody will ever know what happened or when it happened. I don't think even doctors can pinpoint that. And I just think it is what it is, and it's a very common injury, and it's a shame, but fortunately for him, it's an injury that you usually come back highly successful from.
Ben?
Mike, what's the plan now for the rotation? Does Doug go to Fridays? Does Derek just slide in from Gunner? What's the plan?
Yeah, I'm sorry if you guys haven't gotten that. We released that, I think, yesterday. Doug will go on Friday. Derek will go on Saturday, and McDaniel on Sunday.
You've had pitchers go through this before, like Tyler went through this for a full year. Now, obviously, this is the early stages, but what will the next couple of months be like for him, just the early portions of getting into this program, of coming back?
The very, probably the first half of it is really boring, where they're just, squeezing a ball and, trying to keep it moving a little bit. Then, it's in a brace where they only let it bend a certain angle. And again, way over my head, you guys could probably read up or Google it. And then, at a certain point, they open the brace up a little bit so that the ligament can stretch a little bit, but it's very protective, as you see, Chofie in that brace now. I mean, the brace is not really necessarily to protect it from being bumped around. It's really to protect it from, extending and stretching that ligament. And, because it's a new ligament that's tied into the bones there, and it's got to heal. And then, once they finally get out of that and they start to move a little bit, I always think it's a little funny, or, where, okay, it's finally their day to throw and they can throw it 30 feet at like, 50%. And it's, I could throw the ball harder left-handed. I mean, it's such a slow progression, over a long period of time. But the amazing thing is, by the end of the throwing protocol, they work and throw more than probably we throw regular pitchers. And I think that's one of the reasons kids come back and they're so strong. Their velocity's good. They're able to bounce back. You look at guys like Tyler, seems to feel good all the time. And it's one of the things that, back to the injury part in Chase's question, I don't really know, I think a lot of times in this injury, and this is just my opinion, it's not a medical, you don't know when it happens or if it's a gradual thing. Obviously, if there's a pop and, a tear and, a dramatic thing on the mound, but as, guys pitch with this injury, or for how long, I think that's why a lot of guys come back and they feel great, because they don't have that stiffness, soreness, tenderness that they may have had for years, when they pitched, and they just thought it was, the normal, what you do, the normal soreness that you get when you pitch. And so I think when they get to the end of the rehab, it's a pretty good feeling.
How do you keep him involved during this, and just keeping him, with the team and as involved as he can be, considering?
Well, I think that's, it's not anything I do. I mean, you just watch a guy like Tim Elko and others. I mean, it's, it's being a great teammate and realizing that, the game goes on, the year goes on. And I know he wants us to win as badly as anybody. So I know he'll be, doing everything he can, from, being a cheerleader in a dugout to doing a chart or doing whatever to be a part of this. Because, I know he loves his team, and, he loves his teammates.
Nick?
Mike, I know you've known the regional announcements would be coming this week for a month or two now, but what has the wait been like this week, juggling coaching a team, preparing for a weekend series, and also waiting to hear this announcement?
For me personally, I don't, it's another tough, God, you guys got some tough questions tonight. It hasn't been a big deal. I tend to, and not to be, I don't know what the word would be, not sensitive to the information, or aloof, but I tend to not worry about a lot of things you don't control. These are things, we've done, our season and our resume to this point is what it is. If you ask me, hey, should you be one of the 20? My answer is, an emphatic yes. I mean, I don't know how we couldn't be. But I don't make those decisions. It's 10 other people, a committee that this is what they do, and they have a lot of numbers and they have to make a lot of tough decisions, and I get it. So, but at the end of the day, there's not politicking. There's not, there's nothing I can really do. They either think we're worthy of that or they don't. What's done, it's done. And so, again, I don't think I've given a lot of a thought. I thought, to be honest with you, probably like you, and maybe I wasn't up on it enough. I thought it was going to be announced on Monday. And then I found out sometime and said, hey, when's that thing coming out? When are they going to, announce the sites? And somebody said, they pushed it to the end of the week. I said, oh, okay. I thought the big deal was Monday, but I guess they pushed it back. So, I don't know. When is the day, Nick? Do you know? Is it tomorrow? Is it Friday? Is it Saturday? Nobody
I think
knows.
they're saying Thursday or Friday.
Thursday or Friday. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, I know I don't have an exciting answer for you, but the truth is, it's not that I've been given a lot of thought. It's certainly not that we don't care. Obviously, it's a big deal to us, but it's a lot that, we've had, pretty emotional week. I don't think we need to spend a lot of emotion on that. We need to just take care of our own business.
I think this is another control answer, but if you do
Yeah.
end up hosting, obviously the attendance restrictions from the NCAA are different than what you guys have been used to. Have you given any thought to what it might be like going back down to 50 after playing at 100 for a few months now?
Well, I mean, have I given it thought? Yeah. What it would look like? Yeah, but we never really had 50. We had like 25 and then went to 100, it seemed like, right? Or, it seemed like we stair stepped it a little bit, right, Sims? But I don't know what that percentage was or how they figured it out. Um, but also I do know, Nick, that when they started the bid process, it was at 25%, and now it's at 50. So will it stay at 50? I don't know. I mean, you're still, almost a month away from, the regional. So haven't spoken a lot to the administration. I know they had to reformulate or calculate the bid, when it went to 50, I believe. But I know one thing for sure, that we'll have as many in here as we can, and we won't have trouble selling the tickets. The fans will show up and be great, and at 50 we'll still be as high as anybody in the country as far as attendance. It'll still be a great atmosphere. Not as great, but great.
Parrish.
Mike, you touched on the emotional week that you guys have had, given the number of injuries throughout the season. Is there an emotional drain on losing yet another key piece? I mean, is it hard for your guys to stay up?
That's another tough question. I think everybody, when they heard the news of Gunner, I think his teammates, that have been with him and know, how big of a part, everybody knows how big of a part he is in this team physically. But what a great kid he is, and what a devastating blow that is for any kid. And I think his teammates, that felt, just as devastated for him, and felt, just, their hearts were, broken for the kid. But as far as the team's concerned, this team has always seemed to have that resolve to be able to bounce back, to be able to handle bad things, from injuries to being behind. This team just seems to be able to have the toughness to embrace the kick in the gut, and be able to show up the next day and play. And one of the things why I love this team, that it's hadn't been a beautiful season as far as all the things you've mentioned, all the injuries, and some of the tough things that have happened on the field. But we continue to play. We continue to play at a very high level, and they continue to show up and play with a lot of energy. And I think that's one of the reasons that we've had such a good year.
Chase.
Dandy's pretty banged up too. There's injuries all across the league. I know you and I obviously aren't doctors, but do you think any of that pertains to the season being cut short last year and no summer ball, or is there any correlation potentially in some of that?
Well, nah, not that I don't know where you would go with. I mean, I understand the question, but nah. When Tommy John, it's just a ligament that wears out. Tim's a knee that, trying to avoid a first baseman on a weird play. A hamate fracture, just a swing of the bat. These are just, it's one of those where, sometimes you have years where, you never really have many bumps and bruises, and there's some years like this where we've had a lot. The thing that I've loved about this team is, to Parrish's question, is they've never complained. They've never, took the woe is me attitude or, body language. They just keep showing up. But specifically to your question, no, I don't see that. I think that, maybe if you look more statistically, and I'm not saying one way or the other, a guy does well or doesn't do well, and you say, hey, well, they haven't played baseball in a year, that would make more sense to me, but not from an injury standpoint, because it wasn't, it's not like a football thing where, hey, maybe we didn't have enough practice time. You know what I'm saying, Chase? I mean, it's not, we had a long fall. We had more at bats this fall, so from an injury standpoint, I don't see the cause and effect. If you would have told me, hey, there's more walks this year, is that maybe because guys didn't pitch enough in last year in the summer? If there's more strikeouts, maybe. I don't know how we can ever quantify that, but maybe, but not from an injury standpoint, I don't believe.
Yeah, it was more of a major league conversation. They're talking about that for whatever reason, they think there's maybe some more stress injuries, some more hamstrings, just things that maybe from guys that hadn't kept it up and the repetitions were not what they were used to for whatever reason. I don't know. I was just curious.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're talking about this year, if you're talking about the COVID year, and that's what I mean. Like it may be if you ramped up really quickly, or like the major leagues, you went to spring training, stopped spring training, and then you got to hope that the guys stay in shape, and now you're going to play a 60-game schedule. I can see that, or football where they weren't here all summer, and then you bring them in, and then you say 6 weeks or whatever the practice time's enough. Yeah, I can see that, but our guys, we're here all fall. Yeah, no, I think if anything, those arms got to break. If anything, the pitcher's arms. I mean, guys like Gunnar and Chofi and others. I mean, there's a lot of appearances that they didn't throw last year. Where so no, I don't see it. I guess that's my answer.
Any more questions? All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.